Oh, okay, we're live. Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I thought you were waiting for me to take a drink and then go live.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, so John and I are here to talk about various things. We both have a marketing background experience. He has a more extensive one. I'm still relatively new to marketing. I'm actually coming more from the ministry side. We haven't really explored that either. I'm actually a full time chaplain and director, and been in spiritual care and healthcare director for, or spiritual care and chaplaincy for the last 16 years or so. And I've been in ministry for 20 years. And then I made the shift to do uh, to do marketing. Oh, I have a little fly here. To do some marketing and agency work in the last 2 years or so. And we were just kind of jiving and connecting actually about the state of TikTok. Where is
Mm,
TikTok right now for marketers? I think it's always a good, it kind of becomes this viral thing, or it's really like clickable content to say what's working now on TikTok, right?
mhm, mhm,
And so
mhm,
what you were just briefly telling me, and I've thought, I mean, TikTok is, especially for TikTok store. We've had a few clients who were thinking about taking their, like, let's say, olive oil company to TikTok shop and dealing with all
mhm,
the regulations it takes for that. And then we've had other people who are just like on like six different social media avenues. And then they're like, I really want to do TikTok because it just seems like everything goes viral there.
mhm.
But you actually into TikTok, you did what sounds to me like everything that you could, learning about the program, or learning about the software, learning about what makes people stay on longer for 2 years, and then you told me you retired from it. So
Yeah.
tell me that story.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned TikTok Shop because one of my most successful posts, not anymore, but it was overtaken. But one of my successful posts this year was talking about the TikTok funnel and
Hmm,
how it is the complete funnel. So you have
mm,
awareness, so you go on the TikTok, you see a chocolate bar that you'd never seen before. So you get the awareness, and then you get the consideration because then influencers will talk about it and say or do taste tests, or maybe they explain that this chocolate bar is unique because of X. I don't know. Let's say it uses a particular chili that hasn't been used before in chocolate or whatever, or it's based on an old Mayan recipe or whatever the story is.
mm,
And then right at the bottom, you get the TikTok shop.
mm,
So it really is a full funnel marketing platform. And when I made this post, I mean, it wasn't associated with TikTok. I just said how fascinating it was with an infographic.
mm,
13% of the people that had viewed that post were from TikTok.
mm,
So I think they must have been sharing it internally. But it's a fascinating platform, and yeah. So about a year ago, I got into it fully. I toyed with it a few times
mhm,
because Instagram was kind of losing a bit of its charm. I was just talking on Substack actually with somebody,
mm,
Friction Burns, about Instagram and how it's kind of lost a bit of its. And I did explore this in an article a while ago, but to stay on track, um, TikTok seemed like a cool. It was mainly video.
mhm,
Um, I mean, at the time when I was playing with it, so a couple of years ago, it was all video. It was a
mm,
lot of dances, a lot of memes, a lot of trends,
right.
and it seemed to be a race to jump on a trend, make your version of it, and sit back and watch the virality happen.
Mhm,
And I just didn't like it. I was like, this isn't for me.
mm,
I don't like these posts. They seem very cringy. I mean,
mm,
people complain about LinkedIn, but just
mhm,
spend an afternoon on TikTok.
mm,
Um, but then I thought I was interviewing for a few companies the end of last year, and two different companies we got onto the subject of TikTok,
mm,
and they were like, what are your experiences with TikTok? Creating content and advertising, and I didn't really know anything about it.
Mm,
So I thought to myself, all right, I have to get on TikTok. I have to make an account, and I have to, first person perspective. Not
mm,
you can read the theories, you can watch the YouTube videos, but just go on there in the trench and
mhm,
see what happens. And funnily enough, I actually really got into it. I
mm,
actually found it to be quite exciting. But what I found to be increasingly frustrating is they changed the algorithm around about September 2025. So
mm,
originally you would make a video and it would look at the views, look at the watch time, look at the comments, and then promote it to people. But their one key metric, like the most important metric, was completion time.
mm,
So if a certain percentage of people did not watch the video to the end,
mhm,
the video just was buried.
mhm,
So at first I thought, well, okay, so the idea is to get people to watch this video as long as possible, or to complete it. So I started to like make shorter videos, and my original videos were like a minute long. And I would be sat there and I would say, hey, so the marketing funnel, what's that? Because I thought it's a younger demographic on TikTok. So the
mhm,
way I position myself is, an experienced marketer who's got the credentials, talking to a younger generation, maybe junior marketers, maybe working students, whatever, people in college. So I sat
mhm,
there and I just said, hey, the marketing funnel, what is it? Awareness, consideration, conversion. This is what it looks like.
mhm.
Just nothing. Like
Wow.
9% of people watched, and you could see
Wow.
like people jump on, and so I thought, okay, so the older lecturer
Mhm,
position, what I was going for, is not going to work.
mhm,
So what I started to do is I started to play around with it. I started to like shoot outside. I started to change the environment a bit. So I would sit here, like not here exactly, but sit like this and talk.
mhm,
So then I was out in the forest. I was out in the streets of Berlin.
mm,
I would change the environment. And it was an Irish woman who was talking a lot about TikTok. I forget her name. I mean, there's so many, but
mm,
she was quite good. And she said, move the camera,
mm,
like move the camera as you're talking. Don't. I was like, okay. So I'd walk around my apartment
mm,
talking, and I
mm,
started to see like a slight increase of completion rate. So I thought,
mm,
okay, well, I'm onto something now.
mm,
Then, as I was making a video, I would take a number of different takes. Like the
mhm,
idea of TikTok is raw. Like show your
mhm,
mistakes, don't worry about. But I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I was like retaking the video until I got it perfect.
mm,
But then when I was uploading the video, I thought to myself, like, there was a really nice mistake I made, and I
mhm,
kept it in, and it kind of like became a bit different from marketing expert 57. Like so.
mm,
And then I started to get really creative and start at the end and then chop it up and
mm,
get a bit like David Lynch, with these videos, just making
mm,
them, and they were actually doing quite well. They're actually doing quite well. And I thought, well, here's my theme. So it's kind of like a little bit abstract, and it's
mhm,
talking about marketing. And I was really, really enjoying myself. And I
hmm,
thought this is great.
hmm,
But I wasn't building. I wasn't getting any traction. I wasn't getting any followers. My videos would seldom break out of. They call it the 300 view jail. So
mm.
um, I don't know how much experience you've had with TikTok, but you will
No,
post, you'll
hardly any.
post a, yeah, you'll post a video and it'll get to 200, it'll get to 300, and then it flatlines.
Mm,
Uh, and from what I understand from my many, many hours of research, is they show your video to 200 random people.
mm,
Um, and if the test audience, like when you do a screening for a movie,
mhm,
if it's not interacting, if people are not watching it, if they're not liking it. I mean, I know I said completion time is the big metric, but any kind of metric, any kind of life,
mhm,
and the video will just stop. Bang.
mhm,
If you can get it indexed, so you need to keep producing content, and this is where I'm going to talk about why I found it quite a negative experience and why I don't like the platform anymore. You
mm,
have to be constantly pumping out content So if you do 17 marketing videos, a light goes on at TikTok, and it's like, all right, I got a feeling this guy talks about marketing. So
Mhm.
then your videos start to get indexed. So when you see at the top in the search bar, it'll say marketing funnel,
Mhm.
Berlin marketing agency,
Mhm.
problems with social media. And that means that it's starting to understand what you are. But
Mhm.
it can only get like that with constant information fed to it.
Mm.
And I actually fell in with quite a nice community of marketing. Well, I wouldn't say they were necessarily marketing, but there were TikTok professionals. They were in my age bracket,
Mhm.
and they were telling me like, you need to keep repeating what you are. So the marketing funnel, here is the marketing funnel. You might have a question about what is the marketing funnel, and this is all
Mm.
metadata for the algorithm.
Mhm.
And then you would put on the screen the marketing funnel, and then
Mhm.
in the description you would put, I'm going to break down the marketing funnel.
Mhm.
So then the more you did this, the more information TikTok got. And then your subsequent videos. So if I did that and then all of a sudden I was talking about the fall of Rome,
Mm.
then the algorithm's going to be like, no, 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 this is nothing to do with. So then it would be like, what did the Romans know about the marketing funnel? So you'd
Mm.
have to like, I, you know, you had to keep everything consistent, and it kind of made me feel a bit boxed in because I didn't know what my TikTok wanted to be. You
Yeah,
know, I
it sort of reminds, sorry to interrupt, but
no, go for it.
my experience with TikTok is next to 0, and I'm listening to your story of early retirement from TikTok, as somebody who I sort of dreamed, it's like TikTok's like the yacht,
Yeah,
of marketing and, what's it like? Well, I had the yacht and it didn't go anywhere. And, but I
yeah, yeah,
enjoyed, resting on it and sleeping in it and inviting my friends. But it didn't, it ended up not being what I thought it was. And I sold it, it's like, wow, that's a
yeah,
story, that's the story I'm
yeah,
hearing. Um, and it's sort of like, so just so there's a clarification and then sort of an observation here. So the clarification is, it sounds like these older, or well, I should say not older, but just people within your demographic who are
yeah, yeah.
providing some insight into the marketing funnel. Is that because you got that because you're using some paid version of TikTok?
No, no, I was just using
Or
the regular. So I was just using the regular TikTok app.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
but there is I mean, this is what there's some more fascinating insights that I found. One thing that I found really interesting. So I'll get to that in good time though, because it's like trying to break down like my experiences on TikTok. I have to go in a certain order because there's the whole
Yeah,
TikTok. There's a TikTok live, which is a whole section by itself. That had some really fascinating insights. But just to finish where I was going,
yeah.
just so I was talking about, yeah, you have to keep pumping out all this these videos to train the algorithm. And if you take time off, so maybe you don't want to make a video for like a week,
Yeah.
then the algorithm starts. It's like blowing up a balloon.
Mhm,
Imagine, or like filling a bath with a hole in it. So
mhm,
you fill the bath up, and the bath's nice and full, and then you leave it for 3 days, and then the water just goes right down again.
mhm,
So when you come back to the bath, you're like, oh, it's almost empty. So I have to fill it.
mhm,
So you're in this constant circle of producing content to train the algorithm and to keep relevant.
mm,
And for me, I was like, you know what? But what I was reading about younger creators who want to be the next Bella Porch. I mean, she's the one everyone was. I mean, people are. If there's any Gen Z people watching this, they're like, Bella Porch, that was like 3 years ago. But she was one. She was. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody else now,
it's so
but
angry.
yeah, yeah. But everybody wants to be these because it is a road to success. That's the crazy thing about TikTok. Forget Instagram, forget LinkedIn, forget Substack. Like, if you hit it, if you're one in a million, not even one in a million, one in a billion people that hit that perfect time, and you become a TikToker, the rewards are endless. I
Mm,
mean, this Bella Porch character, she was fascinating. She just did one video of she moved her eyes funny, and her eyes were dancing along to a song, and
wow.
she did like a it's a Japanese technique of manga,
Yeah.
when the reactions, and she was doing like a human. She was like a
Oh,
human manga.
like big
Yeah,
eyes with the little
yeah,
shiny,
yeah. Not
yeah.
in a not in a creepy way, but like she was
Yeah.
just replicating anime, and
Mm,
the video was 6 seconds long,
mm.
and it exploded, and she became a world famous celebrity with 18 cars, and like she could buy out. So the carrot dangled to these young creators is well, it's not, it's a diamond carrot that's dangled here. So
Mm,
if you can, so this is what's worrying though about TikTok, and why I started to get uncomfortable by it, because I'm a little older, and I was like, well, you know what, I haven't got the time or the energy for this. But a young kid is, hey, it's Eric's here.
Erickson.
Hey,
What's up,
yeah,
Eric?
Eric. Good to see you, Eric. Yeah, yeah. Two favorite Substackers, bless him. But yeah, so the mental health stress on these young kids, they don't want to. I was reading stories of them not wanting to go to college. They were saying to their parents, why go to college? I just want to be a TikToker. And to us, it might sound, come on, what are the chances of that? But to a 17-year-old, 18-year-old, it's, you so that really made me uncomfortable. I was like, God, the pressure that's put on these people, and you can't become. One of the biggest lessons I learned last year is you can't engineer virality. You can get 10 people in a
Mm,
room. You can get 10 people in a room. You can go through all the different. You can upload it to every algorithm, and you can reverse engineer the best post. But then if you try and do it, it doesn't work.
mm,
Virality on TikTok is 90% luck.
mm. Wow. And that's so interesting because one of the critiques I had at the strategy signal, because when I started off, it was all about marketing breakdowns. And so at first I thought, oh, this is a good viral hook headline, WhatsApp or Facebook Meta, got 304 billion impressions or whatever it is. And most small business companies that our agency works for is like, well, we don't need 400 billion impressions. A
Hmm.
and B, reverse engineering a campaign might have worked for that time. It might have worked for that population, that ICP, but how is that same kind of campaign gonna work for me? And so I went to work into thinking about forecasting. Like, how would a high level marketing strategy, what would that work within their industry and for how long? Like, how durable is that strategy?
Hmm.
And so you and I, we've been going to work on the Signal Forecaster. You've been testing the
Hmm.
app for me, and it giving me loads of feedback. And then I've literally been on Claude Code like all weekend. Just I took off bypass permissions, and
Hmm.
so it just automatic, or I turned on bypass permissions, and it just automatically runs constantly. But one of the things that when you think about if you're an agency or if you have a client and you're trying to communicate, okay, I'm bringing in Eric here for a second, and you're trying to communicate to them expectations, and they're saying, I really like, let's say I'm in the hair scalp, there's a whole like Japanese hair head ritual uh,
Hmm.
brand that went viral in Beverly Hills for cleaning your scalp and having the whole Japanese head ritual. And this this client that we had went viral on TikTok and Instagram. They shot up like 2024. And then they got live on BuzzFeed. They were on some of these other larger like health channels. And then it just steadily declined for 2 years. And so they
Hmm.
had this massive spike of traffic. They were booked for 6 to 12 months out for this head ritual. And so I'm thinking about communication to your clients. Let's say there's somebody who's like, we're not on TikTok, and I want to be on TikTok. And you have that like balance of,
Hmm.
client desire versus your recommendation as you're consulting them.
Hmm.
And so if I'm on TikTok or if I want to be on TikTok and I want data, like I see a lot of marketers differentiating themselves from what used to be a very creative process. like marketing for people who were doing it before the internet, like actually drawing logos before doing it
Mm-hmm.
on Adobe, and like that's one of our guys on our agency. His name's Seiko, and he's been doing marketing for 37 years. And he said before like the internet, before the technology boom, and certainly before AI, there was no reverse engineering marketing. It was a very creative, you had to test things. David Ogilvy would talk about testing out copy before you make any commitments. And so there's this like trend within marketing of, well, I'm going to promise to you, my client, based upon just raw data, that we can deliver on this and we can
Mm-hmm.
reverse engineer virality on TikTok for you. And then I'm hearing this other very scary story because as a marketer who's like trying to put together pricing and packaging, trying to deliver something of value, and I see Eric's questions. We're totally going to get there in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how do you work within a platform that's clearly successful, and yet so much of it is visual and according to taste, like the whole eye example. It's like that could very easily be a very weird thing that pops out, right? And then you also have this like huge virality that happens, but it may not lead to your services. It may not even lead to your products. And so you have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people. I know Nicholas Cole, he was talking for a while about, still talks about it, how he was going viral as a ghostwriter and made his clients go viral, but it never led to any income.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to just go viral. His argument was you want to create an archive, a canon, a library of content where you're answering every question within your niche, within your ICP that they would have in their mind. And then Google, whenever it's pulling it up, pulls up you. So it's
Mm-hmm.
more about a library than it is about going viral. So if somebody's let's so my question to you is, if I'm a client and I'm like, I haven't been on TikTok and I'm trusting you to help me get there, sell my product on TikTok shop or whatever. I know there's 1,000 variables depending
Yeah.
on the brand and so on. I'm almost hearing like you say, don't do it. Or like what would
Yeah.
you say at this point?
Yeah, and this kind of brings in Eric's question. I have two things to say here. First of all, is one of the worst ever projects I submitted last year. It was actually part of an interviewing process, and this company, it's called Springer Nature. It's a academic collection of peer-reviewed articles, and they have they do the New Scientist magazine, and basically they are sitting on over, I think it's 10,000 peer-reviewed academic papers, and their business model is to work with universities, to work with research companies, and to sell access to their papers. And for they wanted me to explain to them how we can get them in front of a new audience. Like
Yeah, great
they've done a,
question.
yeah. So I thought to myself, here we go, TikTok. And I suggested to them, look, here's what we do, right? There's so much misinformation on TikTok. A couple of years ago, there was a whole topic around the Roman Empire never existed. And the problem with the problem with TikTok
Sorry,
is,
can I
yeah.
just pause for a second? Do you remember the trend when they would ask people? I just saw this all over on YouTube mainly as I'm more of a YouTube. I'm totally the demographic for YouTube user. Um, when they would take a phone and they would go up to their dad or they would go up to their grandpa and they would say, "Dad, how often, or your husband, how often do you think about the Roman Empire?" And
Yeah, yeah,
every
yeah,
single one of them would
yeah,
say, "Every day."
every day, every
And
single
you know
day.
what? Before Valerie showed or my wife showed me that, she asked me the question just to test it, and I said, "Every day." And she was like,
Yeah,
What is this?" This is
yeah.
a
It's
strange
men
cultural
think about,
anomaly.
yeah, men think about the Roman Empire every day. But this TikTok was talking about, and whether she truly believed it or not, it doesn't matter because it's the Wild West. No one's gonna, you can start a rumor or start a fake thing on TikTok, and because of the younger demographic, and this is not me being patronizing,
Mhm.
like because it's a younger demographic, they start to think to themselves, "Oh my God, this is really," and whether they believe it's just a fun trend.
Mhm.
Like so, the fact that the Roman Empire didn't exist was a huge trend on TikTok. Now, this is where Springer Nature comes in because
Mhm.
they have the receipts, as the kids
Mhm.
would say. So I said, let's make these little mini debunking videos, a bit like MythBuster,
Mhm.
but use the peer-reviewed papers.
Mhm.
And then the younger generation would be like, oh, this is really cool. These people are coming in and saying, hey, the Roman Empire didn't exist. Well, how do we explain
Yeah.
space space for a young adult
Yeah.
audience? And I said, we'll go viral with these. And that's when I signed my own death warrant. Because when
Mhm.
I said we'll go viral with these, the first question was, how do you engineer virality? And
Mhm.
I said, well, we'll Google the hashtags. We'll see which hashtags are trending right now. You can
Mhm.
see on TikTok, like Korean skincare at that
Mhm.
time, the hashtag for Korean skincare had gone up by 1,000%. So it's
Mhm.
hot. It's hot. So
Mhm.
let's do. So why is everyone talking about Korean skincare? Let's make it a little bit. Let's put some tension in there. Is it
Mhm.
really worth it? Is it really that good?
Mhm.
And I looked on their library, and lo and behold, they had 5 or 6 deep dives into Korean beauty and why it was so effective. So that was my idea for Springer Nature, to use TikTok as a discovery platform and to myth bust. But why ultimately it wasn't a great idea is I factored into going viral into the business plan, which you
Mhm.
cannot do.
Oof.
Virality is just, you know, it's a lottery machine.
Mm.
You can you should there's no way of engineering it. It's just the zeitgeist. Like,
Mm. Mm. It's a good word.
something will just be in the universe, in the stars. Your video will come out. A couple of people will start liking it, and then it explodes, and you can't plan it. But what is interesting, another going back to Eric's question, is
Mhm. Oh, and
one of
Dan's here too. I've been
yeah,
misreading it. They had
yeah,
similar pictures from a distance, but hey, Dan, how's it going? Dan and I did a podcast last week, and he's in the emotional intelligence and training coaches and training CEOs and executives kind of corner.
nice, nice. Well, nice to meet you then.
Morning.
Morning. It's evening over here. But but one of our clients at my agency, or the agency I work at, is Vinted. Um, how big is that in across the sea, right? Vinted. Is it?
Vinted?
Yeah, maybe it's a European thing. Um,
I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not the best person to ask.
yeah, yeah,
I should
yeah,
check.
yeah. But basically, you just sell your old clothes.
Hmm.
So you upload a photo of your jacket. You say, "Hey, my jacket. It's I don't know, Yves Saint Laurent, whatever." And you sell designer clothing or clothing in general. It's like eBay, but it's just for
Oh,
clothing.
I think I saw a commercial for this where the
Yeah,
lady is like taking pictures of her stuff and it goes ching and it like
exactly,
disappears or something.
exactly. It's actually
Hmm.
it's become part of the lexicon here.
Hmm.
So what I know on TikTok, at least in TikTok Europe, um, people talk about Vinted and they post, I just got a haul. I just got a haul from Vinted. And I noticed there was a marketing account that I was following, and the woman always wore green boots and she had a green background. So she was saying that, you know, after 1 year, here's the breakdown, and she put some stats, and she put 7 green boots Vinted. And I
Hmm.
thought, wow, Uber, DoorDash,
Hmm.
Google. Now, Vinted is a part of the lexicon. So,
Hmm.
but this wasn't us coming up with a TikTok strategy. This
Mhm.
was just TikTok picking, but just jumping onto something.
Mhm.
So that kind of exposure for Vinted is absolutely amazing. I
Mhm.
mean, we do the awareness and we do the campaigns, but to get that, to get TikTok to pick it up and just run with it is exposure you couldn't put a price on, you know?
Yeah, the greatest commodity today is attention. It's so
Yeah.
incredibly powerful, and people have commented about the ancient. Yeah, this is a like a big throwback when um, Marduk in the Enuma Elish, ancient Near East Mesopotamian religion was when they talked about him, he had eyes all the way around his head. You know,
Right, 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 right.
or in biblical literature, you'd have a creature that was covered in eyes. Why
Mm.
is that? It's not only the ability to see outward and have omniscience, but it's also to be seen is to have a certain kind of power that's unparalleled. So this kind of goes. I think we're getting into Eric's question because I do want to answer Dan's question and
Yeah,
Eric's other question.
I got a very
So
quick answer to Dan's question.
great,
Just very quick.
yeah.
It's about best marketing strategies for early founders. One of the best pieces of advice I heard about starting on your own business, and this I was involved with a few startups in the past. When you work out your marketing budget
Hmm.
for what you need, triple it.
Mm.
There you go. That's my one, because because like I've worked with so many founders that have said, well, we've got a marketing budget of 75K. You know, will that get us some good performance ads? It's like you gotta really, whatever you think it's going to cost, triple it. But
Mhm.
that's the short answer. I'm sure Matt will have a longer longer answer than that.
Yeah, and there's also a contrast too between Google Ads for services, like if you're an electrician, and Google Guaranteed versus TikTok for a hair scalp, uh, Japanese hair scalp salon. I know those are two very different industries,
Mm.
but actually, what we found with running Google Ads, especially since the AI takeover of SEO, has been it's not a lottery. If we can adjust the copy and adjust and look at the data all throughout, you're going to get the results of having volume of people calling you for your services, and true for hair salon as well. But if you want to get onto TikTok, then what we're finding, and I should probably bring on Flavio, who's our videographer. He actually went to the TikTok conference and got trained by
Mm.
the people of TikTok. And he said it was actually very disappointing. It was all very general stuff, unfortunately.
Never
And they
mind.
paid probably, I don't know, they paid like $50 to join this conference. And he said, we're going to teach you how to go viral on TikTok. Like, oh, great. You know, all these
Mm.
business owners come and and these founders, and it's all very, it sounds important. It sounds like, oh, that sounds great to him,
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
them, to the founders, but then to the actual videographer who's been on YouTube, who's helped other clients through that, he's like, this is the same stuff you would do on YouTube. So didn't really help. But you know, do people really care about the benefits of the product, its USP, its effect on you, or do they care it's just a must to have to be trendy? Important difference. Eh?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the beauty of TikTok is so if you think of the marketing funnel, right, you got awareness, consideration, conversion, right? Right in the middle, TikTok, I mean, TikTok's the full funnel, I said at the beginning, but where it's particularly good is the middle because you can get someone explaining your product, right? So someone will make a video and saying like um, a particular shampoo, right? It's made with honey. And the reason why it's so good is honey. I'm making this up, but honey has been proven. So you can get a minute long video of someone breaking down the product. And
Mm,
if they're cool, you know, and you think, wow, this person's cool, and they're using a product, you're more likely to be convinced by them. But there are trends. I mean, Dubai chocolate is a perfect example. Like for
mm,
the 3 years ago,
yeah.
all people were talking about, but the bag chocolate everywhere. And then it became a victim of its own success. Now you see Dubai chocolate like
Oh,
in the
y-
supermarket. You know, it's
at
it's lost
yeah, in the
Seven
states we have
Eleven. Yeah, yeah,
7-Eleven, yeah, or the
yeah,
gas
yeah,
station, and you're like,
yeah,
how
yeah.
is it? Isn't that a premium product to come all the way from Dubai? And
Yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah. It became popular, it became trendy for 6 months. Everybody was eating it. But that's another dangerous to answer Eric's question. That's another danger. That is a danger of TikTok overexposure. You have to
Mm,
make sure. So if you're selling Dubai chocolate for
yeah.
6 months, you're making bank. But then
Yeah.
after 7 months, if you have to pivot, so you're like, okay, the Dubai chocolate's losing its. So what else can we offer? Swiss chocolate,
Right.
Australian chocolate, English chocolate, whatever. You have to be. You're burning through your cool points very quickly. Um, I just want to go back to Dan's question as well, because that was kind of a jokey question, tripling your. But one thing I'd say to any founder or anybody who's starting a business is don't sleep on social media, and don't think
Mm,
you can hire someone. You want to hire, and I use the term digital native. It doesn't
mm,
necessarily, they don't have to be 22 years old. Like,
mhm,
I just, they could be a 55-year-old digital native. But you
mhm.
need somebody who gets social, and you need to hire them, because social media 10 years ago was a nice to have. The founder would do it, or one of
Mm,
the marketing team would do it as a side job. If
mm,
you're a founder and you have a very visual product,
mhm,
especially like a D2C product, you need to get on social, and you need to get on TikTok. I'm not painting TikTok in the best light, because that's my personal experience, but I won't take away its value when it comes to a marketing funnel and the marketing
mm,
mix.
mm. Yeah, uh, there's also I met a prospect that we were talking to who was really into, they were doing, security screens, and so these, like you put this screen in front of your door, and it's like, 3 like, you can't break it down, it's like a defense before your actual door, where most screens, you could just tear them off if you really wanted to. And I was looking at their site, and they had, almost every single, social media platform on there. There was, at least 7, and that they were taking the same content, and then they were just cross-posting the same content to every single platform.
Yeah.
And I think a much better strategy is to go in deep. This is Nicholas Cole again, who at Premium Ghostwriting Academy was saying, like, choose LinkedIn, let's say, get to 10,000 followers, generate $100,000 from that platform that you can see came from there, and then you can go to a second platform, and then
Mm.
understand, do those 2 things again. And that's such a radically different, like, mentality, especially if you're a founder. You're thinking, "I just need all my content just, like, posted everywhere." And
Yeah,
the
yeah,
marketing team is like, "Well, we're just gonna schedule everything. So
yeah, yeah.
we're gonna shoot you for a day, and then we're gonna schedule and repeat and just give you brand awareness." Brand awareness is fantastic, and there are founders who are like, "I just need POV, thought leadership, and brand awareness. I'm not interested as much in the financial ROI. Like, I just appreciate social media." I think that's great, but for the marketer, it's like you have to be digitally native for LinkedIn, digitally native for TikTok, digitally native for Substack, digitally native for it's just too much. You need, like, experience and trending, or you hire in and co-partner with people who have already had that kind of success, over 10,000 followers that they generated within a short amount of time, and $100,000 for their product or service that they were able to generate, are the 2 benchmarks. Um, that to me is a harder road, but it's much better than trying to promise virality over everything, and then just like a shotgun approach. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I really like to do is recycle content, So if you've shot a video, if you've spent time designing like graphics, if you can recycle them, it really gives you return on investment with the time and the finance. If you spent a day shooting something and you can make content for LinkedIn, for Substack, for Instagram, for TikTok, then that day shooting becomes very profitable. But one thing you can't really do is expect a video that you made for TikTok to pop off on LinkedIn, for example. You need that. You need somebody to understand what each. So go. Let me just give you a quick example of why TikTok was just getting so crazy for me, because
Yeah.
I
Your
talked
personal
about,
experience, I think, is really
yeah,
valuable here too.
I I talked about the completion rate for a video, right?
Mhm.
So you have to keep someone watching. If you do a video for 10 seconds, for 20 seconds, that's good. But the longer they're watching, the more eyeballs are going to be on it, and the more the algorithms are going to be like, I like this is good. Let's show it to some more people. But you have to also hit the completion rate. So what is crazy is the performance angle to it. And for example, like if you're talking, like I am talking right now, right?
Mhm.
There's nothing going on. So I would start moving around, I'd start doing stuff.
Right.
I'd be cooking. I saw
Right.
someone whisking, or cutting fruit,
Right.
or
Or frying
or
fruit. That's
frying,
another one. Yeah,
yeah, or
frying fruit or something.
spinning a pet, because it's like a child. It's like, look,
Mhm.
look, keep watching me, watching me.
Right.
And what started to annoy me is, well, what's happening now? Is it is my content what's keeping you to the end, or is it me juggling and riding a unicycle? And like what this is getting ridiculous now.
Mm,
If you're not interested in the content, then I'm not going to do these tricks to keep you entertained. You would see
mm,
people putting Subway Surfers at the bottom of the screen, or kinetic sand, or somebody
mm.
power washing.
Right. Yes, I've
And
seen that. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like, if you can't listen to me for 1 minute, but then that's me imposing my values onto a platform that's designed for people to literally scroll, 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 scroll. So
Mhm.
you have to stop the scroll. So you have to
Mhm.
be like, hey, hey, oh wow, or
Mhm.
explosion. Hey, I'm going to tell you
Mhm.
about the marketing. You're like bloody
Mhm.
Wonka, like what is it?
Mm.
Who was it? Timothy Chalamet. You're like,
Mhm.
here is my
Mhm.
amazing marketing fund, and
Yeah.
it's like, so it's like, is it now about the performance, or is it about the content?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's where I started to get frustrated.
Yeah.
Um, so if you're making a video for LinkedIn, and it's very
Mhm.
straight to the point, here is the value proposition of my company, of my brand. I'm really
Mhm.
excited to take you through our new product launch. LinkedIn, perfect. TikTok,
Mhm.
no one's gonna watch it. So then you have to
Mhm.
start juggling the products. It's like, you 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 can't always have the same. I mean, I tried to break down, in my very pretentious way. I tried to break down the social media sites into like the gorgons from Greek mythology. So you had like Instagram was, all about Medusa, all about
Yeah.
appearance. Yeah,
This is the
yeah,
article, right, that you were talking about got
yeah,
AI detected and
yeah,
you
yeah,
were a
yeah.
bit miffed from it. That
Yeah,
was
and then,
very creative. Yeah, I
yeah,
recommend I'll see if I can find it and share it with people in the chat.
it was like the three gorgons of social media, and it was Medusa and her two sisters. I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but one of them was younger and mischievous, which was perfect for TikTok, and then one of them was more serious and wanted to live forever, so
Mm,
that became LinkedIn. But
mm,
if you have to understand, like, Instagram is all about polished perfection. It never used to be, but it is now.
mm,
TikTok is about wild experiments,
mm,
and being like, ah, yeah, yeah. And
mm,
LinkedIn is about authority and being able to talk from a place of like education, and so each platform has its different environments. Um, but Eric says, apart from the obvious target group factor, is there anything you wouldn't communicate? I don't know. I've seen the randomest things on TikTok. There was a pizza shop in my hometown, um, who that did one video and it became viral.
hmm,
And yeah, they got millions of views on this one video. And when you go to their other videos, they're like 200, 300 views. But this one video just went viral. I
mm,
don't know. I mean, that was going back to Spring of Nature.
mm,
One of the things, so you imagine this is an
mm.
academic, educational, like, they were quite stuffy. Their offices are all wood, and they said they were worried that TikTok might be a bit, we're a serious academic institution here.
Mhm,
I don't think TikTok's really what we're about. So that was one of the things that they said. They were worried that it would harm their brand if
mm,
they're talking about, the Roman Empire. But it's about the next generation of consumers.
mm,
And Springer Nature is an academic institute that works with universities.
mhm,
So they have to think about the next generation.
mhm,
And Gen Z aren't going to sit and read New Scientist. They're going to get all their news from TikTok.
mm,
So if you were to counsel a company on whether to use TikTok for marketing, is there an industry benchmark where you would say, guys, save money and time? I don't know. I don't know. I think I think there's a, I mean, the more visual, like brands that have a visual product, like food brands, fashion brands, brands that have a physical product that they can talk about. Here is my water. It's from the Himalayas, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, they're perfect for TikTok. But I mean, insurance company, like maybe, but then it depends how they do it. I think you have to make, you're appealing to, yeah, some companies I think would struggle. You're talking to a very, I mean, 70% of Gen Z make up TikTok. So
Wow.
70% of the people that you're going to be showing videos to
Right.
will be 23 or under, or whatever it is. So if you are a very, if you're like a legacy company like Springer Nature, I could see why they were getting nervous,
Mm.
because you know they're an academic institute. Are people
Mhm.
gonna is it gonna harm our image if we do TikTok?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, hmm. It's a very interesting question about how much into social media do you which social media channel do you jump into for which kind of product? I liked, Rory Sutherland's Alchemy,
Mm,
and a lot of my POV has been kind of drawing from that as well as, personal, geeking out here, a personal Zettelkasten if that's of any interest to people. But it's basically a central digital, note-taking archive that I kinda drew from, experience and reading. And, one thing that he kinda points to, and you'll see this in my newsletter, there'll be like a rational narrative. So take, TikTok insurance. Insurance is kind of a hard product, it's not very tangible. Like, it's tangible
mm,
in terms of the crisis that, Mint, I think, came up with, Jason Momoa during the
mm,
holidays, talking about banking. I know that's not insurance, but there's insurance in banking in a sense. Like, where's my money going? How's it being utilized? And so they showed this like chaotic scene of this woman confidently walking through with her new Mint Bank uh, checking account that she's getting a return on. And there's just like chaotic holiday mess. And so you're showing the negative experience of the holiday mess, and then you're showing this confident who you could be as our ICP walking through that, experience. And that's subtly how you make something like insurance or banking tangible. Because you can't always
mm.
sure you could see money, but like the kind of money that banking uses to get you in isn't always that easy to see and hold, cash back rewards or whatever.
Yeah.
So so like, you take something that's not a product, that's not as tangible in TikTok, for instance, and his strategy is that you look at the rational narrative taking place within that, like take home insurance. Like, what's a rational narrative within TikTok happening right now?
Mm,
And then you look at a random, illogical move, what I call a signal on the strategy signal that seems to do everything that's not rational. And then, and it worked. That's the other thing. And then you build your campaign, your strategy upon that signal that had happened. So a great analogy of this is in his introductory chapter of Alchemy, where he says, if you were to develop like if you were to bring a bunch of founders together, rich, wealthy tycoons who are like, I want to compete with Coca-Cola. I want a so how do we do that? Okay, well, people get together and what's rational? We're going to make it better tasting. Cool. We'll put it in a bigger bottle for cheaper. Awesome. We're gonna have like crazy wild branding. Awesome.
mm,
And that's the rational narrative. But the signal, the illogical, the magical, the alchemy that actually happened was this brand came by, smaller cans, more expensive, tastes like crap. Actually, one of the reviews, when they were doing a peer review over this stuff, said, "I wouldn't eat this shit if you paid me," was literally the
mm,
comment.
mm,
So it tastes bad, right? Smaller, more expensive. 4 billion cans later a year, 4 billion cans a year, Red Bull.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
that is interesting to me is like, how can we look at the statistics and data on TikTok to find the signal, to find what is that illogical move that goes against the rational narrative? And that to me is the creative part of marketing and data coming together. But do you think that's possible on TikTok?
Yeah, I mean, like I was just thinking as you were talking, going back to Eric's question about like who I wouldn't like. There's a lot of signals, and you get a lot of instant feedback, especially in the comments. Um,
Improves
and
your iterative
y-
feedback loop, I guess.
yeah, and TikTok. I mean, it's as I say, it's a younger audience, and it's very political sometimes, and very if you used palm oil in your product, uh,
Mhm.
your comments would just be like palm oil, palm oil, palm oil, palm oil. Um, if there's any controversies with your company, they will be found out within seconds, and
Mhm.
people. I see the pylons like if it's similar to Reddit.
Mm.
If you're a company and you're inauthentic, or if you've got some skeletons in your closet, it will be found out, and it will just be. So maybe there's a company that
Mm.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to start getting too political, but if there was a company that I would say we want to be on TikTok, you could say to them, listen, I want to be really very sensitive here, but X could be an issue for people, and they will be quite vocal about it. And then you'll get people making videos about your company saying so and so is now on TikTok and why it's a problem. So, like, the feedback and that you get on that platform is very useful. With your analytics and where you can see how people are reacting, and the there's also the negative signals. So just to go back to Eric's question,
Mhm.
depending on the company,
Mhm.
like there's one company now, I think New Balance, and there was another company, just Muller yogurt. It's a German
Mm.
yogurt.
Mhm.
New Balance financed Trump's campaign.
Mm.
Muller financed the AfD in
Mm.
Germany. In Germany, or they were what do you call it? They contributed to their campaigns.
Mm.
Which, listen, I'm not going. No, I don't want
Yeah,
to turn
right,
this into
right.
let's keep politics. But I'm just saying that these brands now on TikTok, people are calling it out and boycotting them.
Mm.
So if Mueller wanted to do a big campaign in TikTok, I'd be like, let's just wait for things to calm down a little bit, before,
Mm.
because
It
they,
almost have to be a campaign that leverages the limitations and controversy. So I'm thinking of WhatsApp around its privacy. Um,
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, a
yeah,
lot of people were like, "This is not private. This is, owned by Facebook. Facebook is using my information." So they created this campaign, and you can see it in one of my breakdowns. It's showing like this Indian family like on a train, and they're texting, but everything is encoded. Everything is,
mm,
and
mm,
so there's ways in which a campaign can take those on directly and just challenge them from
yeah,
the very beginning and actually incorporate that vulnerability strategy into its campaign so that you're upfront about it, you're talking about it, and you're saying what it is that you've done. This again, doggone it, we got to get Eric on here because you guys were talking about this. What do
yeah,
you
yeah,
do
yeah, yeah,
when
yeah.
you mess up with your audience or your services? Do you just go quiet and don't say anything? I don't know where I got this mantra from. I heard it from my mentor, but nature hates a vacuum. Nature
Mm,
hates a vacuum means when you don't say anything, and I see this all the time in my relationships. If I don't text back, if I don't say anything,
mm,
nature hates a vacuum and it just will populate that vacuum and that gap with its own meaning. That's where you get assumptions. That's where you get, as Yvonne Agazarian in System Centered Group Therapy says, you get noise, which is assumptions are noise. So, how do you clear up the noise in your relationship with the customer, acknowledging what had gone wrong? And a campaign ad is really difficult that way because there's not a lot of dialogue, it's kind of still one way. Here's our
Yeah.
narrative, here's our image, here's our, cute copy or whatever, and here's us, protecting you from it. I
I just want to say, just for the record as well, in regards to New Balance and Muller, yeah, Muller dairy products in Germany. I saw that on TikTok, so just so we don't get a legal
Right.
letter from Muller, you know,
Okay, yeah,
or New Balance. No, I saw it on TikTok. So
right,
I haven't done my independent research,
right.
but I saw people talking about that fact. So something came out about that.
Did we answer Eric's question? And then we have again, I'm still learning to pronounce it. Is it Svetlana?
It's
Svet
Svetlana. Yeah,
Svetlana.
yeah. It's apparently it's a Z instead of an S. It's a Z.
Oh, that's a lot more
Svetlana.
helpful for
Svetlana.
my
Yeah,
North
yeah.
American, slow
I
accent.
know. I know. I
Right.
was just that was a breakthrough moment. I was looking at pronunciation, and I was like, it's Svetlana, not
Is it
Svetlana. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And
Um,
would you recommend to go to TikTok with the B2B product? I think you mentioned this a little bit.
yeah. I mean, I think the best things the things that do well on TikTok are visual, like direct to customer products. So if you've got a super cool, delicious drink or a really innovative product that you'd like to, but if you were selling point of sale software to companies, and you had a TikTok where it's like, here is our new model making your transactions easier. You can plug it into a iPad, and then you can take credit card payments on. There's a market for it, I think. Like I
Mhm.
think um, it's not going to get as much exposure because I think what really does well is things that people can buy and want, like the direct to consumer products. B2B products, though, I have seen them on there.
Mm,
And another thing, what brands like to do is, or companies, like they might be a B2B company, but they use their TikTok for the culture. So they
mm,
show their offices, they show their team events, they
mhm.
show,
Builds
which
trust.
is good. Which is good. Yeah, builds trust exactly, and it also good for talent acquisition. Like
Mhm,
people say this is like a really cool place to work. So
mhm,
I mean, that's Eric. That's another Eric special there.
mhm,
Corporate identity.
mhm,
That's a so when you see company TikTok, sometimes they're pushing their products, but
mhm,
sometimes they're pushing their culture,
mhm,
and behind the scenes.
mhm.
And so, but yeah, going back to B2B products, I haven't seen a lot myself, but that's because I haven't like looked out for them myself. I mean, it feels very LinkedIn
Mm.
to, you know,
Did you yeah.
it's more of a, you probably find more of an audience on LinkedIn,
Mhm,
but with the target, with ads, especially with the targeting on LinkedIn, on Instagram, you can show my ad to advertising, or let's say business founders, business professionals, anybody who's expressed any interest in P of V software.
mhm,
Please show my product to.
mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's an interesting question because I just think of like products that sell or services. I mean, actually, do you know who does really well on TikTok?
Who's that?
Lawyers.
Huh.
Lawyers do so well, and that you could say that's almost getting into B2B if they're corporate law.
Mhm,
But I saw a lawyer on TikTok saying all her, so she was an immigration lawyer. All her work was just on TikTok. So she would make videos
amazing.
and she would share case studies.
Immigration law, big
Immigration law.
big in Southern California right now.
Well,
Huge.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But also divorce courts, small
Mhm,
claims. Like the Saul Goodman's characters. Like
mhm,
because you can hit like I think it people if you can have like a case study. Hey, are you dealing with immigration? Are you worried?
mhm,
Are you playing on
mhm,
people's emotions?
mhm,
We had similar cases like this. Get in touch now.
mhm,
And you see the person, you don't see the billboard, you see the person, the lawyer is
mhm,
talking to you directly.
mhm.
So yeah, services do
Yeah,
quite
I
well.
it's,
Dentists,
something
dentists, like
dentists, yeah. Oh,
plastic
especially
surgeons,
because you could
like
you could see the before and after, and people
Yeah.
really want that nitty-gritty, like, show me the tooth decay that you cleared up. Another strange one is in the nonprofit religious sector. It's not really a product that's offered other than a transformational experience, but it's almost like an interesting story. So there's this whole TikTok and YouTube culture around like prison and religious experiences transformation
Mm.
narratives where you are I was in prison. I was this terrible I murdered 7 people, and then I became a pastor. It's like, "Wha okay, let me
Yeah, yeah.
show me a little bit more here," you know? And are you selling a product? No,
Yeah,
it's kind
yeah,
of a
yeah.
service. It's like, you can get my T-shirts and merchandise, DTC, I guess, but, like, can you like, I wanna listen to you, and I might even wanna meet you and come see you speak, and get an
Yeah.
uplifting message. So it's kinda B2B, right? That's where I get a little
Yeah,
confused with
well, yeah, yeah, soul to soul, I think is
soul to
probably
soul. Yeah, yeah.
probably a whole new
Monetization of the
marketplace.
soul gets dangerous,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's what I hear. I don't know, I know we're at an hour, so maybe we could wrap it up with, what's your final thought about your experience of leaving TikTok? Are you fully retired? Is this it? Is this the nail in the coffin?
Well, what's been interesting about this conversation we've had today is we've been talking about brands. So I was talking about the individual, like trying to grow a personal brand as a marketing expert on TikTok.
Mm,
Um, the agency I work for, not on TikTok right now, but it's in the pipeline to bring the agency onto TikTok. So part of this experiment was finding out field notes and what it's like. So I was kind of talking about my own personal experience and how
mm,
difficult I found it to gain traction.
mm,
But so personally, yeah, I'm still on it. I have to. I can't. I still check in. I get my news from there once it's verified. Of course, I always have to verify it, but I get interesting news from there. I learn about things, especially marketing things, and it is fascinating. We didn't touch on live. That can be a whole different topic. If you left TikTok, where here's why I'm leaving because nah, I'm not doing it. Nobody cares about me leaving TikTok. But I for a business. Okay, here's my wrapping it. I'll just give you one thing. If you're a business, you can't ignore it. That's it. Simple.
if you're a business, you cannot ignore it.
You cannot ignore it if you're a business, especially if you have a D2C product or if you're a fun brand.
Mm,
You can't not. And I can't think of any business. Maybe an undertaker might be a bit of a weird one to have on TikTok, but or maybe not. Maybe you could
mm,
show how beautiful and how the ceremony and the job of an undertaker, their
mm,
final responsibility. Yeah, that was a bad example,
mm,
but I don't think there's any company that couldn't be on TikTok. It's so important.
mm,
Love it or hate it.
mm,
It's very important and it's full funnel and
mm,
very very powerful. And it's only going to get more powerful.
mm.
Um,
I think if that's how you're concluding it, I think we'd have to talk another time about how do you go about it in a sustainable human way? Because I feel this conviction about human-based marketing or maintaining the kind of humanizing the encounters. You mentioned a little bit the contrast where I'm like, "Hey, I'm essentially complicit in advancing your ADHD. I'm trying to make you
mm,
more
yeah, yeah, yeah,
mentally
yeah.
ill in a way just so I can get the attention." There's a loss of self in there too. You become the court jester or you become kind of the monkeys
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
automated with the clanging cymbals. So I'd be curious in another talk about how do you
yeah,
maintain
yeah,
your humanity if you have to play, you can't win if you don't play, and you have to
yeah.
play. So how do you play in a way that gets you the outcomes you're looking for, outpace marketing, and then keeps your soul at the same time?
And I have a perfect example for next time of a TikTok. Well, he was actually on Instagram, but he was an older artist and he made videos about how he deliberately smashed the algorithm, and it was quite clever how he was doing it. So it's like it's like the ultimate competition. It's like here are the rules.
Mm,
And there's always going to be those people who are like, I don't want to listen to those rules. I'm going to break it. And some people do, and it's fascinating.
Yeah, there's a guy I follow on LinkedIn who's been banned from LinkedIn several times, and that's his banner. His banner
Yeah,
is how to get
yeah,
banned from LinkedIn, and it's like it's
yeah,
intriguing and it's really
yeah.
good copy and like how in a way it's sort of defiant against the machine.
But what's interesting though
Right.
is the rules aren't set by TikTok. The rules are set by the consumers. It's an interesting dynamic. TikTok, you can
Mm,
do whatever you want on TikTok, as long as you don't swear or you don't, well, you can swear, but as long as you don't show any violence or anything too
yeah,
sexual,
towards
and
others.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
you can do whatever you want. You can make a video
yeah,
on anything. It's the
yeah,
consumers that dictate the rules, which is
yeah.
I never really thought of it like that.
Is that your experience from LinkedIn? LinkedIn feels more top down to me.
I mean, there's no guidebook to TikTok. Like, there
Yeah,
will be people that will sell you a course on LinkedIn, on TikTok, right? And there's
yeah,
people that will sell you a course on LinkedIn.
right.
But the rules of the game are dictated to by the marketplace, not the platform.
Which actually goes back to our first conversation around AI detection. Uh, let the market choose what is
Yeah,
good
yeah,
content instead of top down telling us,
yeah,
it's AI or not. Really
yeah,
enjoyed this talk, John, and
yeah. Me too. Me too.
I feel like there's still a lot more around your experience on TikTok that we didn't quite get to. Like, I would have loved
Oh,
to hear.
we've scratched this. I got
Yeah,
through 20% of what I wanted to say.
yeah, yeah, and I kind of felt that too, and also, like, what does an average day look like for a TikTok user? Like, is it filming 6 hours a week? Is it like you wake up at 7 and then
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah,
you're planning content? Are you using content automation, like,
yeah.
scheduling that content out? Are you just like live streaming it? How much time are you
Oh
spending on
man,
the platform?
there's so much. This could be the whole next, the whole next talk.
Yeah, it's like an intimate. I mean, that's what comes to my mind. I mean, sure, there's the consulting part of TikTok. How do I help people? How do I help my clients who are interested in it? But there's also like you as a human being using and being used by TikTok. How do you
Hmm.
balance those 2 things out? I hate that term user, but it's also a really good term. It's true for
Yeah, yeah,
what
yeah,
it actually is.
yeah, yeah,
And certainly I'd love to talk about Substack, but I found this very illuminating because I have had an avoidance with TikTok. I've just been like, I don't want to use it. I don't want to be on
yeah,
it. But you know
yeah,
what? Easily 45 minutes could go by on YouTube Shorts. A YouTube
yeah,
short, I'll just be like, "Oh my gosh,
yeah,
where'd
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
45 minutes go?" My family will
Exactly.
go out to San Francisco, and I'll be by myself. I'm like, "I'm gonna get so much done." 2 hours, just like,
Yeah,
what happened to my life, I was
yeah,
completely used by this thing.
yeah,
So,
yeah. All right.
well,
Well,
let's
let's meet again.
that sounds great. We can,
Yeah,
we'll take this offline, and thanks to everybody who showed up today. There's a lot more questions
yeah.
than the first
Yeah.
time.
It was quite. I think it was the compounding effect. I think once you start doing these more, people start to get used to them and start to look out for them. So yeah, let's
So,
keep going.
I saw that little heart from somebody.
Yeah, yeah.
Heart
Somebody
back
get
to
in the
you.
heart. Yeah,
Another heart.
yeah.
All right. Catch you later, everybody. Have a
All right.
great
Goodbye, everyone.
Tuesday.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks,
Thank you for
John.
inviting me.
Yeah.